I booked an important part on the original Law and Order. It's my second role on there. My first role was small but meaty. I know there's no small parts. But whenever I do these jobs, I can't sleep the night before. I just toss and turn all night long. I'm afraid I'll oversleep. I mean, my call time was 6 a.m. So that means I leave my house at 5:30. That means I get up at 4:30. I mean, it's horrible. So what I do is I set two alarms. Well, this is 2003. So my regular alarm is on my bedside table, and then I place another alarm clock on my dresser, which is across the room, so I have to get up and turn it off. All right, it's July. It's hot as Hades outside, and I'm on the street corner waiting for a cab. Luckily, my prayers are answered. I slip into the back seat. Air conditioning. Thank you. Yeah, because not all cabbies have their AC on because I guess it's really expensive to run it. Anyway, Chelsea Piers, please. There's no traffic at 5:30 in the morning. So we just sail down the West Side Highway to 23rd Street. I pay the driver, dash inside to the Law and Order studio. By 8 a.m., I've been through hair and makeup. I'm dressed and sitting on the witness stand. I have my sides on my lap. Sides, okay. So yeah, so these are my sides. They're like on 8.5 by 5.5 sheets of paper in this tiny 8-point type that is impossible to read. They're stapled together. And look, I don't need them, but they're my security blanket. I keep them on my lap. I mean, the moment I received the script, I memorized my lines and I went over them daily. And I can say these lines in my sleep. Today, I am playing the part of another grieving mother. My first part was also a grieving mother. But this grieving mother, Megan Goddard, is in the season premiere titled Bodies. Now, this is a big deal because it's a season premiere. It's the longest scene in the episode. It's 3.5 pages, which in TV is a lot. So it's a big deal. All right. So Megan is this upper middle class woman. My daughter was brutally murdered by a serial killer. The serial killer's lawyer is on trial because he's seen and knows where the 16 plus bodies, thus the title, are buried, but he refuses to reveal the information. Client attorney privilege. McCoy, played by Sam Waterston, he's the DA, he brought me, Megan, in to testify, hoping that I'll be able to reach the defendant in some way and he'll reveal where the bodies are buried. Side note. Megan, unable to contain her anger and grief, turns to the lawyer on trial and yells, "You bastard." And that two-word clip made quite a stir and circulated around the news media for a while. And it was used to demonstrate how television has changed so much. They even say the word bastard on national TV. Can you imagine? So I'm on the witness stand. I'm nervous because this part is so much larger than the first part I had on Law and Order. And it's the longest scene. Like I said, it's the pivotal scene of the entire episode, and it's the season premiere. Okay, my palms are sweaty. I wipe them on my slacks. I tell myself, breathe. Just keep breathing. Fine, you'll be around. Look, nervous? No need. It's true. I've been in this wood paneled faux courtroom I mean, I can't count the number of times I've sat in this courtroom. All right, I'll set the scene. To my left is the jury box. I've been a juror on this show and I've sat in the jury box. To my right is the judge's bench. In front of me to my right is the defense table where the defendant and his attorney sit. And to my left is the prosecution table where Sam Waterston, District Attorney Jack McCoy, and the beautiful Elizabeth Rome, who is the Assistant District Attorney Serena Sutherland, sit. I know them. I did my first scene with them when I played Roberta Miller. Now behind them are rows and rows of these hardwood benches where the spectators sit. No big deal. I've been a spectator in this courtroom many times. It's kind of weird. The PA is bringing in the background players, placing them on the benches. This is unusual. This means no private rehearsal. Huh. The director, Constantine Macris, or Gus, as he's called, approaches me. Let's try one, okay? Okay. The first AD calls, quiet on set, we're rehearsing, quiet on set. Sam Waterston crosses to his post in front of the jury box, begins questioning me. When he's done, the defense attorney cross-examines me. The rehearsal goes great. I'm in the zone. I'm working moment to moment. Gus approaches me. Okay, great work. Now save it. We're going to be shooting from your POV first. Oh, POV, point of view. In other words, this just means that they'll be looking out into the courtroom. Okay, that means they'll shoot the defendant, then his attorney, then Sam Waterston, Elizabeth Rome, then they'll turn around and film me. All right. Shut it off, save it. This is what I tell myself, but it's hard. I mean, it's an emotional scene, and I was prepared and ready to work when I stepped on set. I figured, well, I'm in the first scene. They'll do my part first. Wrong. After 7.5 hours, we're broken for a walkaway lunch. Law and Order doesn't cater. This means I have an hour and 10 minutes to change out of my wardrobe, walk 4 long crosstown city blocks from Chelsea Piers to 8th Avenue, find a place, buy something for lunch, walk back to set, eat, get dressed again, get my hair and makeup retouched before being back on the witness stand. It's boiling outside. I'm vulnerable and raw. The thought of doing all that, it's possible. I go back to my tiny closet of a dressing room, close the curtain, sit on my small stool, try to meditate, conserve my energy, stay in the zone. After lunch, a PA takes me back to set. On the way, we pass the craft service table that's overflowing with mounds of junk food. Law and Order puts out snacks after lunch. Candy bars, Hershey's, Kisses, Cheetos, potato chips. I'm salivating. I didn't have any breakfast. I mean, I'm not hungry at 5 a.m. I know if I eat any of that junk, I'll go into a coma. But it's okay. They're shooting my close-up next. We'll be done soon. I'll eat when I get home. I always make a point to say thank you to my stand-in before I climb back into the witness stand, because I've worked as a stand-in many times, and I've been ignored by plenty of actresses who refused to acknowledge my existence. Whatever. I wipe my sweaty palms on my slacks. I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille. Wait, where are the lights? Oh, oh no. Oh no. They're way down at the other end of the courtroom. Oh no. When they turned around, instead of starting with me, they're starting with the last scene. Of course. Of course, this makes perfect sense. TV has such a grueling production schedule. They shoot scenes in the most economical way possible. Bottom line, still not my turn. Breathing deep. Fine, you'll be. Okay. After 13 hours of saying my lines over and over and over again, it's time for my close up. Time to rally. I can do this. This is it. My big moment. Time to deliver. Action. Sam Waterston crosses to his mark at the jury box. We start the scene. Ooh, I'm in trouble. My mind's jumbled. The lines float around in my head like figures in a video game. They no longer make sense. Relax. Focus. Breathe. You can do this. I glance at my sides in between takes. I'm having a hard time staying in the moment. I'm using letters of the alphabet to remember my lines. This must be what hell is like. Gus must have figured out I'm in trouble. He approaches the witness stand, gives me some direction. Okay. I I try to process and incorporate what he said to me, but now I'm giving a result instead of being in the moment. Gus takes me outside the courtroom. Forget what I said. You were much better before I gave you direction. I should have left you alone. I return to the witness stand and somehow get through the scenes. I say my lines. I go through the motions. After what seems like an eternity, that's a wrap. I'm relieved, shaken. I climb down from the witness stand like a wounded animal, head back to my dressing room. I just want to get out of here. I leave as fast as possible. I'm in a daze. I don't remember changing or how I got home. Once inside my apartment, although I haven't eaten anything all day, the thought of food makes me sick. I take a shower, crawl into bed. Oh, the next day, I am nauseous. My head pounds like, I don't know, like I've been hit by a Mack truck. I'm so disappointed in myself. I can't get out of bed. I wanted to give Megan her due by being as honest as I could be. Look, I don't have children of my own, but I know loss. I grew up with a grieving mother. My older brother died when I was 4. My mother had a nervous breakdown. She never recovered from the loss of her firstborn son. I based Megan Goddard, a grieving mother, on my mother, who, unlike Megan, never got her day in court. And I wanted to honor my mom and all the grieving moms who never had the opportunity to speak out for the injustices done to their children. I stay in bed, filled with shame, pull the covers over my head to block out the pain, but it's no use. You suck. Who do you think you are? Go away. You call yourself an actress. You're horrible. Now, look at you, you big baby. You can't even get out of bed. They're never calling you again. You're done. Stick a fork in it. You'll never work in this town again. Time passes. Law and Order calls again. Sitting on my bed, reading the script, I discover the woman I'm supposed to play finds out not only her son, but also her husband has been killed in an accident. Oh, boy. I don't know. I just don't know if I can put myself through that again. This is this is even a bigger part, a guest star. Can I take an entire episode of dealing with so much grief and loss? I prepare the material and go to the audition. After all, isn't this what I've been training for my entire life? Now, here it is, and I'm seriously rethinking my career choice. Once in the audition room, I read the scene, but when the reader, well, that's the person who reads the scene with the actors. So when the reader tells me my husband and my son have been killed, I stare, detached, like I can't comprehend what they said. After the audition, I tell myself, well, that's one way to play the scene, but I know it's not what they want. I know what they want. This is Law and Order. This is TV. TV is a visual medium. They want emotion, tears, drama. Bottom line, my heart wasn't in it. Deep down, I I just wasn't ready to put myself in that situation again, where it takes so much out of you to do this emotional work. And well, I didn't book the job. I never auditioned for the original Law and Order again. At first, I was paranoid, but discovered a mandate had come down to use all new actors on the show. I also heard through the acting grapevine that after my last part, they decided to shoot the actor with the emotional part first. Coincidence? I don't know. But it makes sense. As for me, I learned a valuable lesson as an actor. I didn't understand how to take care of myself, and that's my responsibility. I didn't know enough to ask certain questions, such as, are you shooting me first? Well, when are you shooting my close-ups? If I'd known I'd be the last shot of a very long day, I would have relaxed, saved everything for my close-up. Live and learn. The next time I booked an emotional part like that, I pulled the director aside and I asked specific questions. I asked to look at the storyboard. I asked, when were my emotional scenes being shot? He looked shocked, but I knew exactly how he was going to shoot the day and when I needed to be prepared to do these emotions. Yeah, they don't teach you that in acting class. This is on the job training, y'all. Thanks for watching, you guys. Thanks, thanks for being here. I really appreciate all your love and support of the channel. And please, if you haven't already, be sure to like, subscribe. It's free. Hit the notification button and leave your questions and comments below. It really helps the channel, and I love reading and responding to your comments. And I want to give a special shout out to everyone who bought me a coffee, or special thanks, Ellie Bean, and to all my monthly subscribers. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. Oh, I got a notice that I passed 7,500 subscribers. So thank you for that. And thank you so much for all the beautiful remembrances about 9/11. That were so touching, and it reminds me of the impact that this event had on us. and people around the world, and it still does. I'm thinking many of us suffered from PTSD, and maybe we still do. Questions for you. Have you ever pushed yourself past your emotional or physical limits for work? I bet most of us have. Do you have your own law and order moment when everything seemed to go wrong? Okay, your questions. This is from Louis P. 2502. He says, I remember seeing you on the original Law and Order. I think it was the episode where you played the grieving mother who lost a daughter to tainted hamburgers, and your testimony helped DA Jack McCoy strike a deal with the company. If that was the episode, you were great. That was the episode. Thank you. He says, I appreciate you sharing your story. It gives me a more realistic view of how Hollywood, I guess, sort of Hollywood Light, New York works. So my question to you is, of the major characters on the Law and Order shows you worked on, who was your favorite and why? My favorite Law and Order character was Stephen Hill. He played Adam Schiff for 10 years. It was from 1990 to 2000. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2016. He was 94. Prior to Law and Order, he had done a lot of Broadway. He was in the golden age of TV. He was on Mission Impossible, The Fugitive, Alfred Hitchcock, Our One Life to Live. He was a member of the Actors Studio. He did tons of great films like Heartburn, where he played Meryl Streep's dad. I loved him in that so much. He was in Yentl, Brighton Beach Memoirs, Billy Bathgate, The Firm. And he was such a sweet man. He was a DA also, and it was based on an actual district attorney of New York. He said that this was the hardest character and the most difficult role he ever had to play because he had to learn all this legal jargon. And he said it was like speaking a second language. One of the reasons why I loved him is one day I was playing his secretary. So I was at a desk outside his office, and he comes up to the desk and he's got two other people in the scene with him. I don't remember who they were, but I was supposed to hand him a note like he'd received. It was a phone message. So I handed him the note, and I had written on there as the phone message, call the cops, because I thought it would be funny. So I handed him the note. He opened it up. He doesn't crack a smile. He does the scene, and then he takes the note and he goes, and it goes whizzing by me. So I pick it up and we do the scene again. I hand him the note. He does the scene and then he takes it. And every time he gave me the note, he did it in a different way. Sometimes he would hand it to me, sometimes it would go flying. Anyway, I thought he was very fun. And he was such a beautiful actor, I thought. Okay, Kathy Gortz, 1065. I hope that I pronounced that right. So she says, I was in sunny Florida. I woke up in such a funk, like something was not quite right. And I said to myself, how could you feel this way on such a beautiful day? Then, as I was watching the Today Show, the first plane hit, and I thought, wow, something must be wrong with their radar. Then the second plane hit, and I'm like, well, their guidance must be off. Never dreaming it was deliberate. I had to leave work then as the news stories unfolded. We all came to realize the horror that had happened. Then I thought, this is why I was in such a funk. I was picking up on this terrible event that was about to unfold. I often think about those people we lost and how devastated their families were. It left a hole in the universe. I love that image so much. Left a hole in the universe. So I would say, yes, you were picking up on the energy that day. I mean, I had a friend who had a dream prior to 9/11. She dreamed that a plane crashed into the World Trade Center. And I think lots of people had dreams like that prior to the incident. Okay. Paula Shelton said your father would be sorely disappointed in the fascist regime we have in the White House. I believe what happened on 9/11 led us to where we are today. Phew, wow. Yeah, my sister and I often talk about, sorry, how my dad would be devastated because of all the soldiers who died to fight fascism in Europe. It's really hard to wrap my brain around. Phew, okay, cut. All right, Juliana, 777. She said she was visiting her nieces and nephew in New York City. It was right before 9/11. And she said everyone wanted to have their picture taken in front of the World Trade Towers, which were behind them, right in the distance. So they took the picture. She said it was odd, but she asked about the terrorist bombing in the garage of one of the towers that had happened years before. She said no one knew what I was talking about. She said I had only been back home, Cincinnati, a few days when I turned on the TV the morning of September 11th. Yeah. Gosh, I had completely forgotten about that bombing until you brought it up, Juliana. And I have to say, I remember when it happened, and I remembered how just strange it was, but it seemed to be kind of kept on the down low, or I didn't feel like it just didn't get that much publicity, I guess. So what I did, I went on the FBI history site about that bombing, and it happened on February 26th, 1993, about 17 minutes past noon. And it was this huge explosion. It was in the parking garage beneath the World Trade Center, and it carved out a 100-foot crater several stories deep and high. 6 people were killed. More than 1,000 people were hurt, and some of them had crushed limbs. Now, the FBI partnered with New York Joint Terrorism Task Force, and they'd been tracking these Islamic fundamentalists in the city for months. And then 700 other FBI agents worldwide joined in the hunt as well. In the rubble, they uncovered a vehicle identification number. The number belonged to a rented van reported stolen the day before the attack. An Islamic fundamentalist named Mohammed Salama had rented the vehicle, and on March 4th, an FBI SWAT team arrested him when he tried to get his $400 deposit back. I'm sorry, but that's hello. So they soon had 3 more of the suspects in custody. They found the apartment where the bomb was built and a storage locker containing dangerous chemicals, including enough cyanide gas to wipe out a town. All 4 men were tried, convicted, sentenced to life in prison. All right. Then the task force uncovered a second terrorist plot to bomb a series of New York landmarks: the UN, the Holland and Lincoln tunnels, the Federal Plaza, where the FBI office was located in New York. On July 24th, 1994, so this is almost a year later, the FBI agents stormed a warehouse in Queens and caught several members of a terrorist cell in the act of assembling bombs. Meanwhile, the mastermind was on the run. Ramzi Youssef. They discovered he was planning more attacks, including the bombing of a dozen U.S. international flights. Youssef was captured in Pakistan in February of 1995, returned to America and convicted along with the van driver. Oh, a seventh plotter remains at large. Ooh, that's not good. But they learned from Youssef that his trade center plot, he wanted the bomb to topple one tower with the collapsing debris knocking down the second. So the attack turned out to be a dress rehearsal for 9/11. Whew. And with the help of Youssef's uncle, Al-Qaeda would later return to realize Youssef's nightmare vision. Wow. Talk about sinister. Woo! All right. Well, I don't want to. Let's end on a lighter note. that was deep. All right. So Rebecca M, 7239. She says, interesting. I was thinking about manifestation this morning. Now, hours later, I click on a video about 9/11. As the time is close, I find myself watching these. I listen to your experience. Thank you for sharing. Well, thank you for watching. I thought the video was over. Then you start talking about manifestation. I think that would count as manifestation. Yes, I think that counts as manifestation too, Rebecca. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, and I'll see you next week. All right. I love you guys. Take care. Peace out.